Welcome to Guns 101, our video welcome message for new gun owners. Brought to you by the Self-Defense Radio Network. I'm Rob Morse from Self-Defense Gun Stories. My partners are Amanda Suffolk from On the Target Radio, and the guy behind the curtain doing the heavy tech, that's Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. We have Amy Dillon with us. She's a firearm instructor, a competitor, and a participant in the DC Project. Amy, people who have a gun might have many holsters for it. Millions of people came home with a gun, and I'm not even sure somebody talked to them about holsters yet. What kind of choices do they have to think about?
All right, so let's first talk about the popular holster. So I guess the first question when it comes to what type of holster should I get for my gun? Well, it depends on how you're carrying it. There is two distinctions that I want to make first off, and one is OWB and IWB. When a lot of times when people are asking, I'm looking, or they're asking someone that they're, what type of holster should I get? The person will ask them, well, are you looking for an OWB holster or an IWB holster? So the difference is OWB is outside the waistband and IWB is inside the waistband. So again, this just depends on maybe the clothing you're wearing and also what season it is, because that can definitely, change your mind as far as what you're going to wear and what holster you're going to carry. So I want to talk first about the outside the waistband and outside the waistband. An outside the waistband holster, which I actually don't have with me right now, but it generally will look like something like this where the clip is on one side of the holster. So if this were an outside the waistband holster, it would be set up for, a left-handed person if I see that the clip is on the right side of the holster as I'm holding it. Okay, so that means that the clip would go outside my waistband, and I'll try to change my camera just to show here. It's not really, here we go. We see here that the clip would just clip on the outside of my waistband, and I generally wear this on my strong side. So if I'm a left-handed individual, I'd want to put that holster on my left side, on my left hip, and that would allow me to ensure that when I am getting ready to unholster the gun, I'm using my strong hand. Okay. So if it's a inside the waistband holster, it's actually set up a little bit differently, because in this case, the hard plastic of the holster, whatever type it is, that would be against your body, and the clip actually goes inside your waistband, generally over a belt. Okay. And that's the same thing for an outside the waistband. So again, what I'm going to do is just kind of show you, this is my setup actually. What I'm going to do is just, again, with my handgun here, checking to make sure it's unloaded, magazine out. I see that the magazine is empty and it's pointed in the safe direction, finger off the trigger. I'm going to pull back on the slide to make sure it's empty, so we know that I'm dealing with an unloaded firearm there. All right, so once I have the gun loaded, I want to ensure that, again, safely put it inside the waistband holster, and this one would go, let me just move the camera here, and we can see that it's inside the waistband and able to conceal. So that's generally what an inside the waistband holster would look like and how that would work. Okay. This is something that if you're not wearing a jacket or coat, it's easy to conceal just under a t-shirt. And it's a very popular holster for people that are concealed carrying. Some people don't like wearing belts, and so I wanted to kind of show some options for people who don't wear belts. But with this in mind, I do want to mention that if you're not wearing a belt, you want to make sure that you are wearing pants that have a tight waistband, whether it have some type of drawstring or just that it's compressed against your body, because these holsters that you see here don't have clips on them. Okay, so this is something that is designed to be, again, worn inside the waistband, but you don't have the clip on it that secures it to your belt. This is also a good option for if you're wanting to keep the gun inside a glove box, for example, or inside any other place where you don't want to have the trigger exposed. So these are this is a brand called Sticky Holster, and there's other companies that make it. This one's Elite, but it's just personal preference. But those are the differences between an outside the waistband and inside the waistband holster.
Okay, so Amy, tell me, I mean, one of the other things, new gun owners are going to hear IWB and OWB, and you've covered that pretty well. Then they're going to hear, I carry it at 3 o'clock and at 4 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. And what in the world? Where's the clock? And how does it start? Where's 12 o'clock? Right?
Right. So, well, when we're talking about the position of a clock, when it comes to the position of the holster on your body, we're basically talking about just your waist and where that gun is in reference to your body. So, if I'm referring to, let's say, 12 o'clock, then I'm referring to directly in front of me. So that might mean that I have the holster in a position to where it's basically right in the middle of my torso. Okay. If I'm talking about the position, oh, go ahead, Amanda.
I was just going to say your belly button is 12 o'clock and everything
Exactly.
revolves around your belly button. And so that is your clock.
That's perfect. So if I'm holstering a gun at, let's say, thinking of a clock now, at 3 o'clock, that means for me, it's on my right hip. And generally, I would probably have, an outside the waistband as a right-handed person, as a right-handed shooter, I'd have it at the 3 o'clock position.
Okay, because it's so confusing sometimes. I mean, and we gun people, there's so much jargon that comes out of our mouths without us even thinking. We don't think about it. We're like, oh yeah,
Right, that's true. And I also want to mention, because you're talking about the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock position, we also talk about can't. So if I'm talking about inside the waistband that's carried, that has a 45 degree cant to it, I'm probably referring to the cant of the holster itself on my body. So here, if I wanted more of a 45 degree cant on this particular holster, I would position, and this is normally customizable, but I'd position the clip to be at a 45 degree cant on the clip to the holster in reference to my body. And the reason I might do that is it's going to afford a more comfortable draw for me. It might be that when I'm sitting down, I might have a different preference on the cant. So again, it depends, what I'm doing. Am I going to be sitting down a lot? Am I going to be just walking? Am I going to be, at an event where I'm sitting down the entire time? So that might change what position on the clock I want that holster sitting on my body. It might also change the cant I want it at as well.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense. Now they also there's a whole lot of people who talk about hybrid holsters and Kydex holsters. You want to cover that just a smidge?
Well, what people are referring to are the material of the holster itself. Okay, so for example, the holster that I've been demonstrating is a custom Kydex holster, and there's a lot of companies that do offer custom-made holsters. And what it is, it's I'm not sure about the specifics of it, but it's a injectable, or it's molded, and it can be molded to whatever gun you have, whether it be a full size, whether you have a light option on your gun that you do want to keep the light on. For example, if this is going to be a gun you carry at night, and of course, with the safety rule of always knowing what your target is, you want to make sure that if you're pointing the gun at a direction, it's at the right target. So having a light on your gun might be something that if you are going to be out at night a lot, you want to have that option to keep the light actually on your gun itself. And so Kydex holsters are very popular in the concealed carry community because of that reason, because they're very customizable to the specific gun and the light that you might have on there, as well as other, lasers, laser guides, or other things that you might have added to your gun as an aftermarket product.
Well, that's pretty cool. And the one other thing about Kydex holsters is that you can almost hear, when she's doing it, you can hear that click. They really hold the gun well. So you can snap it in,
yes,
and you can turn it over, and that gun will not fall out. So that's a critical part. So,
and that's very critical because you want to make sure that your holster protects.
Go ahead. You can make sure your holster what?
Oh, the holster, it has that proper retention on it, which is that click that you were talking about.
Okay, because the purpose of the holster is to hold your gun. And so a holster that doesn't hold your gun, not a good holster. So folks, we're talking to Amy Dillon. Amy Dillon she's a Marine, she's a trainer, and I'm proud to say she's part of the DC project. So we'll be back with more videos from Amy.